everything now. Dude, there's some people on Twitter that have freaking ads before you even see anything.
Wait, like on their profile?
Like, just like as in their feed, like they'll put like a video up or whatever or something, but there's an ad that plays first.
It's weird.
That's not okay.
There's a guy
Check
that
out
I
Lupo. His
had
does it.
followed. Oh, does it? I
The guy's not making enough money.
who even knows? Who even knows these days with the way these things work?
Well, I knows.
You gotta switch platforms to make millions. You gotta go to Mixer, I guess, right? I don't know.
I have to talk about this. Was I the only one that watched that? And I was like, okay.
What's that?
Like, I didn't get the whole like video announcement thing.
I don't know why they do anything, the minutia around all of it these days.
Yeah.
But like, the whole deal by itself is so. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. Gaming has become the weirdest hobby I think in the world. It
It's
maybe
like something people take seriously and not seriously at the same time.
that there's definitely something about that, like the simultaneity of
Like some people are trying to make it cool in like a career, and then other people are like, I just want to play games to have fun.
it's been like there's always been esports. There's always been like tourneys and like fighting game tournaments and stuff like that have always been like legit. Like I'm a fairly old gamer.
Yeah.
If we want to throw labels on people like that. Ooh. It's not one that people really like these days. They're like, oh, don't call me a gamer. It's a bad word. But like, there has constantly been, because we were talking about before Joe got the stream live. We were talking about like different kinds of playing older games and like playing like LAN games at home or like in a house where you've wired every room so like different people can play together.
Yeah.
And like, there has always been some version of that has been either interesting or weird or profitable or something. Like I remember when there was like cell phone videos of Street Fighter tournaments and like people going crazy over Street Fighter match. And I loved that because I used to go to arcades and people would actually do that where they would like put their quarter or they put their little like guitar pick or whatever the hell like on the cabinet, and then it would be like this person's turn, this person's up next. But it was like a round robin of who had just won was still in, and then you're just playing the next person because they had that big cabinet with the huge projection TV thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter Turbo at the mini golf place. It's awesome. Anyway,
Digging up some good memories. We had Aladdin's Castle, which was a big arcade chain around here, and then it just kind of fizzled down. But I still have tokens for the place.
Awesome.
So it's my
You know what I was
memorabilia.
excited about? I just found Dragon Quest again.
Really?
Yeah. On
Which one?
Xbox. The like original one.
Oh,
one
for real?
Ridiculously difficult for no reason.
That
So,
original, the cartridge, like on my Nintendo, never worked. And I remember trying to get it to work so much. And then
oh no, dude! I'm talking pre-Nintendo. This is like the one where the game is so simple. All you have to do is hit left, right, down, or up.
Okay.
But you have to do it in the correct timing of the story. And like, no joke, there's moments where it gives you like a millisecond to decide, and then you die.
I totally thought you meant the JRPG.
No. Like
top down, like. But yes. Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair. Sorry.
Was so hard.
Yeah, it's super ridiculous.
I don't understand it at all.
Going to arcades and like spending hours and getting past like the first two levels.
Yo, and those kids on Stranger Things are just like crushing that game.
Yeah.
Come on, I didn't even understand what button to push.
Right?
Who is this person that made this game frustrated me so thoroughly as a 12-year-old?
Yep.
8-year-old. How even old was I? When did that game must have come out in like the late 80s?
It was it was a while ago because I know I started playing it because my dad would play it. He
Yeah.
was way better than me, and I used to just get frustrated. He's like, "Oh, you have to hit the left one when the guy does this motion." I'm like, "No,
What did
no,
I
don't lie to me."
a gaming documentary recently
Don't lie to me.
that game, and like it's actually like it was produced by like a theater or movie, like a Hollywood guy. I think I'm just blanking. I forget. I
Just
can't
gotta
really.
Google it.
I'm not. I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like not.
I caught him. He was totally.
He was like, "I'm ready."
Like, oh, all right.
Because
He
we
didn't
could,
want
I
his
could
LED lights to change.
ramble about video games for
Yeah.
hours, literally hours. But I was saying before we started,
Really
before
spin
we
off of
went live,
Pixels After Dark.
y'all have questions. They're good questions. We should talk. We should do the show. We should do the show that you produce.
You want to start? Okay, we'll
Yeah,
start.
man.
All right, everybody all set?
Yeah.
All right,
Are
cool.
we clapping?
All right, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll catch you next time. So, what were we talking about? Was it Dragon Quest?
Wait.
Yes.
Dragon's Lair, but I mean, we can talk about Dragon Quest also. I mean, we don't because I literally just Dragon Quest Builders too.
You know what?
And it's amazing. And, I could talk about it for so long.
This is also a side tangent. So me and my wife, because it was Labor Day today, so we both had the day off. It was great. So we were like, "Oh, let's play some video games together. That'd be fun." There are literally no local co-op games anymore that are like entertaining. You know what I mean? They're all just super cheesy.
Mario Kart, and that's like it. And the minute you get tired of it, there's none. There's
Yeah.
none. I mean, I guess
was-
Smash, but like I've never been a Smash player, so I don't really.
Halo
Yeah.
2?
I mean, I don't know if that's everybody's favorite multiplayer game, but
I
it
don't
is
know.
one of my favorites.
My wife on that one, yeah. She wanted like a racing game, and we were going through the Xbox like Microsoft store for hours.
Forza, can you even play local co-op on Forza?
I don't know. I think that one's too intense for her though.
Spikles is saying Overcooked.
We were playing. Yeah, we were playing.
Overcooked is good.
Okay, so we were playing that,
Oh,
but Overcooked is good for like the first 20 levels, and then for me, it's too repetitive.
Wait, the first 20 levels?
Overcooked.
There's
is the
so many
kitchen-
levels in that game.
like the simulator kitchen. That's I think is called Kitchen Simulator. That's a different game.
Yeah. No, Overcooked was good, but like after the like 100th time of chopping a potato, I was kind of over it. You know what I mean? It would be a fun like pizza and beer night game if you had like 4 people to all play.
Dude,
It would be fun.
you know what is a good multiplayer game? I'm blanking on the name, but it is made by the people who used to make that game. You don't know Jack. It's a like phone. You make your phone and the console, like your Xbox or your PS4 or whatever, like and everybody just dials in like a sort of connecting to a website like thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of like what is it, Cards Against Humanity, but it's actually like there's puzzle elements and it's always got like goofy stuff that makes everybody in the room just like start laughing or messing with each other, and it is like a perfect party game. But it is also not like a video game. It's not like
Right.
a controller and you're controlling like an object or like a character or like a race car or something. Like nobody really makes like, maybe they do, maybe I just am not plugged into it, right? But like fun little like racing games and weird stuff like that.
See,
Right. I feel like Nintendo's the only one.
yeah, they have a focus on that for
they
sure.
do
Yeah.
lock into those. Like there's a Mario Party game too, right? Like Mario
Mhm.
Party, I think is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all like mini games. It's
Yeah.
like, all do
It's just mini games, yeah.
fun stuff.
See, I remember back in the day, there was one game that was banned from my house and one of my best friend's houses because this was a game that over the course of a weekend
Dangerously
would ruin friendships. And it was Risk, the old school
Risk?
board game Risk.
Risk is great.
We would put that on a dining room table at a buddy's house, and it would literally be Friday, Saturday, into Sunday, and there'd be like six
take
or
up the
seven
table.
of us, and it would be like, dude, Adam, you and me, we could take out Rit right now. And then forming coalitions and everything, and then we'd go out, have a smoke and a beer while we're drinking and play this, and then we would team up and take out Rit, and then one of us would turn around and backstab the other one and wipe out the other person's countries, and it's like, you son of a bitch,
you have to. That's how you play Risk. That's like part of the game is the negotiating.
But yeah, it got banned from the houses. It was like, dude, you're not allowed. No more Risk. But we'll go on all night about this. But let's dive into this. Just for a marker, because we've been recording for a little while now.
Okay.
We're gonna do a little bit of clap, brief intro, and then we're gonna dive right in.
Hold on.
Oh, he's gonna get there.
All right.
Rez is so prepped. Look at him. He's like
got
a
like
statue.
The really proper clap. Like,
well,
the one hand is at like the 45-degree angle. He's like ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm gonna do this.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, I'm prepared. I'm dragging it because you're ready. You're like, ooh. All right. So I don't have to hit record.
On one or go?
But...
I think I'm on one, and you guys.
That's my favorite question.
And it makes me think of Lethal Weapon every time.
Yeah.
No, just on 1, 2, 3, clap. So after 3, clap. Okay.
So on 3,
1,
clap.
2, 3, clap. Nice. That's gonna be a good marker. I love it. All right. Thank you everyone for.
It only took us like 10 episodes. I'm sorry, I just interrupted you.
It wasn't 10. It was more like 16, and we're still working on it.
Should we clap again?
You always want to clap again.
Everybody likes the clap. It's
the
very
clapping's fun.
Unless it's a different clap.
Well, okay. Context. Rude. Gross.
Just really had to throw that
medical
out there.
guy. I gotta throw it in there.
Okay.
Is that why?
Pass.
Throw gross stuff in.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us again for Pixels After Dark. I already messed it up. I couldn't even get it going.
We gotta do the clap again.
No, I'll figure it out. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Take 3.
Oh.
I should have Tyler or Ruby do it.
I would stumble.
I'm stumbling already.
Okay.
I'm
You can make
red.
it.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us again for Pixels After Dark. I'm one of your hosts, Joe. With me, as always, is Ruby.
Hi.
And Tyler.
Hello.
And with us tonight, we have a very special guest. We've been chatting for a while now, so we've kind of prolonged this. We forgot to hit record or go live, but very excited to welcome our guest tonight, and it is Irrezolut. What's
Hello.
up, buddy? Not
much. I mean, all of the things that we've been talking about and all the stuff that we will talk about, but it's holiday. I had to cover work a little bit for a friend at my regular job, and now I get to talk to everybody here. This is awesome. I'm so excited.
Nice. I wasn't the only one that had to work today then.
Yeah, it was only a couple hours, but just helping out.
See, I should have known something was up because last night a buddy of mine was like, and he's a coworker and my best friend. He's like, "You playing games tonight on Sunday?" And it's like, I can. So I jumped on, and I was playing with Dr. Goku, and he jumped on, and he was like really energetic for a Sunday night. It's like, dude, I gotta wake up stupid early. He was like, "Dude, I don't care what we're doing. Let's do a Shattered Throne. Let's do this. Let's do a raid." It's like,
oh god, yeah. Let's do a whole Shattered Throne, and then let's go do this other thing. Like, it's no time limit. Let's just keep going.
That it never clicked in my head. That he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. You're going to work tomorrow." He's like, "I'm not going in, and I'm not going in Wednesday either." But he's got help all week. He has an injury, so he's on light duty. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't think anything, and I got to work this morning at like 5:50 in the morning, and I walk in, and it is pitch black in there. Office
there?
is not even unlocked. I go
Oh,
into the
no.
office. I'm there for an hour, and I'm like, where the fudge is everybody? I'm like, and then one guy walks in, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "It's Monday." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's Labor Day, Joe." I'm like,
It's the day that's about not going to work. It's the holiday that's about.
It's the holiday to Riven.
Yeah.
It was too late at that point. I had 2 coffees into me, and I'm at work. So it was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a full day in. So I went and did a market tour and went out and checked out a bunch of stores. And then around 3 o'clock, I cut out, and then we had a barbecue.
Nice.
But anyways, that's my little rant. We've been having a lot of derails.
It's fine. It's totally fine. This is a very fluid medium. We can branch wherever we need to.
You're right. And I edit, so
That'll
I could cut all that out. No, but thank you so much for coming on with us, bud. You were with us. You came on once before with the Guardian Con special for the Artist Alley. That was a lot of fun.
Brady Bunch, the crazy Brady Bunch.
The crazy Brady Bunch episode.
That was awesome. It was so fun.
It was
I'm
a
really
blast.
looking forward to next year's.
Yeah.
Right. How many can we fit into one show?
I'll tell you what.
50?
It could be 100.
Oh,
You know what
snap.
would be cool, since we're planning on all going, is doing it at Guardian Con.
Yes. We have to get in on this like live episode racket that the whole internet has going. I love a live episode of like a show. That would be so fun. That would be so fun.
I could not even begin to imagine how to try and pull that off.
It's a lot of telling people to stop screaming because we're recording.
I would imagine that's in there, but just trying to lock everyone down to like, dude, meet us at 9 o'clock. We're gonna start recording and everything, and we'll meet you in the bar. Nope, bad idea.
You just have to tell people there's brownies.
Clumps of people together. Yeah, like give them another reward. Like give them. We did that at this past Guardian Con. It was like everybody we're meeting at this place at this time, and it sort of worked. Like herding kittens.
You know what? It'll be like people like calling in. You'll hear the door open up, and it's like, hey, look, Cobb One has just joined us.
I don't know why that just reminded me of Bear in the Big Blue House. Like, hey, our neighbor's here.
I was thinking of Mr. Rogers with the mailman.
Exactly. Who's gonna come in next? It's just like a cavalcade of stars.
Yeah. No, we'll attack that down the road.
With food and drink. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta bribe them. Some
sure.
reason.
Yep.
I'm sure we could figure something out. Free Jolly Ranchers or something.
One tiny piece of
Yeah.
horrible candy. No,
But
Original gummy worms.
to get us back on track.
Jelly Belly brand.
yes.
So you were on with us for that. Thank you for coming on again with us. For those that might not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. There's a wealth of knowledge on me on the internet. I've been putting my thoughts and art on the internet since I was about 16. Right now, I work. I do 2 primary things. I'm a painter and designer, and I do that on commission and for hire. And then I also work nights doing technical and customer support for an MMO. And I've always kind of had dual passion, art and video games. And in the last like 2 years or so, I've been smashing those 2 things together like a lot more often than I ever had before. And it's actually like it's changed a lot of it's started to shift the way I'm doing art, like period. And it's shifting into like I'm actually selling paintings, where it's kind of like, I hate saying it like this because it feels a little bit like a betrayal of both things when I do it. I was buying canvas yesterday at the art store, and the lady was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm stretching some canvases, gonna make some new paintings. And she's like, oh, what are you painting? And I kind of sighed at her, and I was like, there's but doing paintings of weapons from video games, like I'm ashamed of it. Like I'm not at all. But I'm like telling the art store person like, oh yeah, but I'm going to do some of those regular fine art, abstract expressionist paintings that I've been doing since I was a kid. But then the next thing I said was true, which is what makes it feel like bad on both sides, is like one of those things sells, right? Like I sell a lot of video game art and I don't sell a lot of abstract expressionist art. It took like 20 years to sell most of the abstract expressionist stuff I made. It took me like a weekend to sell most of the video game art I ever made. So it's like, it's really interesting to me because I'm shifting through that a lot. And I've been like, I went to real art school and my real art school closed. And so it was like, it felt like a very quintessential art school experience. And I've always done like, tried to do very fine art, like fine art world oriented things. Like I tried to start sort of a studio gallery combo place and that didn't work out super well. It was really hard. And like the fine art world is not like a very super active and dynamic world at all times. Like there's little pockets of dynamism and action in it, but then it's really like, you know, stuffy and galleries and like not really my sort of scene. And so there's just been a lot of art adjacent things. And now I've like in the last like 2 years, I've been really focusing on just my art and doing my thing with art. And that has been like working on paintings of the guns from Destiny. And that has been like so amazingly rewarding in this really interesting way because it has brought me closer to other practicing artists and fans and like this community of players and people that enjoy this game world and this development studio that has made all these really cool things that I've liked for like going on like 20 years almost. So it's like, it's been a really rad experience.
Right on. I just have to say that your style, that it's not just, I mean, you're being really humble about it because you the way you express it, like doing paintings of weapons from video games, from Destiny and this and that, and you undersell it so much because the styles of these weapon paintings are freaking amazing. They're so unique to anything else throughout the community.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you have weapon art and then you have weapon art. Like the Jade Rabbit one, I always fall back to that one. That was the first one that grabbed my eye. That was like, oh my god! And then I deep dived into all your pieces. And
I love that painting. It was so fun, and it took longer than all the other ones I did last year. By a weird factor, like when I started doing Destiny art, I started primarily because I was trying to take them to Guardian Con in less than like a month last year. And that one was actually one of the first ideas I had, because I just like the way that it collided all of these things that looking back, I know it's actually kind of easy to see like where all the genesis of these ideas came from inside of Bungie and the stuff that I was liking at the same time when they were first starting to make games. And that, like, I loved doing that. And it is, you're right. Like, thank you. I am being like, I deflect a lot of that stuff, but it's also like, I'm putting the Destiny art on top of like 20 years of painting a certain way. So it feels a little bit like I just kind of stumbled into it, but I didn't. Like I've been working on this one thing, and then I was like, I would really like to just smash these two things that I love together and see what happens. And it worked so much better than I thought it would. Like the reception that I've gotten for it is so much different than any other art that I've ever done, that it is both astounding, and I'm also like so relieved because it's like after throwing so much spaghetti up against the wall, it's like, oh shit, finally everyone like they do like these ones. And because it, you have like 30 paintings sitting in your own bedroom or your storage shed or whatever for years and years, and you're just like, people seem to like them, but man, it's hard to sell them, man, it's hard to make that into work, and it's what I always wanted to do. And so it's been really nice to have that like coalesce around a thing that I think is really rad, like just particularly because I do, not because it's like I figured out like, how do I make something that other people like? It was like, this one handful of spaghetti did work, and I was like, that's the good spaghetti. I'm gonna stick with it, and
That one stuck to the wall. We're
right?
going with that one.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you.
Right on.
Rambly answer.
What's your preferred medium?
I mean, it's definitely paint,
Right.
but it comes through like a filter of a lot of different stuff. I have, I'm gonna show later. I think we're gonna get into some specifics, but like I use a bunch of different technology, cameras and printers and projectors, and also a very simple projector, like a thing that is a mirror that I put on top of a drawing, sometimes to like project that and change it from a drawing to putting on a canvas, stuff like that. But like, it's really just paint. I guess ink is the other answer, but like any kind of paint, like, and I work primarily in water-based and acrylic stuff. Like these guys.
Nice. It's so rare to see, paint as a preferred medium nowadays with the overwhelming amount of people switching over to digital. I mean, there's a lot of a lot of benefits, pros to taking your art to digital format, because there's just the ease of having everything at your fingertips. But having that, I think Farian said it best during the Guardian Con episode, that a lot of people are afraid to do paint or do what you do because of the finality of it.
Yeah, and it is and it isn't. Like there's definitely some there with digital, there's sort of never a point of no return. But with some physical mediums, there are like, okay, well, this one has to be done, because if I try to apply another kind of coating to it or another chemical or another paint, it will react physically and it will ruin it. Like literally it will bubble up, it'll harden, because there's plastics and there's all sorts of chemicals in different kinds of paints and inks and things like that. So you can sort of cul-de-sac yourself that way. Like you can be like stuck and you can't get out of finishing a certain thing a certain way, but it's not as unfinal or as final as you think, right? Like there's, both of them have those strengths and weaknesses there. And I use so much digital stuff. Like I use so much Illustrator and Photoshop to create that I tend to not think of myself as really being in one or the other. And we talked about this on that Guardian Con Ep too, I think, of that, like, I think it's so wild that it's called traditional art now, because it's like, that's so the opposite of what I feel like any kind of painting or artwork I've ever done does not fit into a traditional style. It fits into like a modernist or like experimental category comparatively. But now it is, you're so right that it's like everything has switched, and there's so much that has switched that works better. Like there's stuff that I only do digitally, and it never gets paint, it never gets, but maybe I'm able to make it look similar to some of the paintings that I do, that kind of composition. But it is like, I'm going to pull deep for a weird quote here from the movie Ronin, when Robert De Niro, he's like, it's a toolbox. You put the tools in for the job. And he's talking to Sean Bean. It's one of those movies where Sean Bean dies like really early in the movie. Spoiler alert for the movie Ronin. And he's like, I'm a weapons man myself. What kind of weapons do you use? And like Robert De Niro's just like, I use whatever, man. Who cares? He's like so slick American professional guy. But it really is like, in this weird case, like it is a toolbox. And like if you have a job, you put in the tools that you need for it. And even my paintings, which are entirely made of paint and ink and fabric, they start as drawings, they turn into photographs, they turn into things that get scanned, and then they morph into a different kind of drawing and a different kind of digital art that has to get optimized. And then they get projected onto a canvas. They get printed and projected onto a canvas and drawn again, and then painted again, and then layered and drawn again and painted again. And it's like digital is baked into that process, like all the way.
Right. Yeah.
It's never not touching some technological aspect. So it doesn't even feel traditional because it's not even that, right? It's not just I set up a bowl of fruit and I got my oil paints and I just sat and I painted them until they were a two-dimensional fruits. Right? I mean, I even left out part of like doing some of the Destiny art. Like I have to go into the game or go into an API driven model viewer and like pull the model out so I can figure out like what's the actual dimensions of this thing. Because whenever you see them in the game, whenever you see them in your inventory and stuff, it's like a weird 3/4 view. And I love this, like making it almost look like diagrammatic, like
Right.
schematic sort of thing. And just have to like I have to find a way to use technology to like tweak that and literally find the 3D model and grab it and rotate it and then take a capture of it and then use that to figure out an outline and the scale, the correct scale. And sometimes don't even have that. Like if you work from something that's not in a game like Destiny or not, you know, available yet, sort of thing, like trying to make cool stuff before they come out. Anyway, I'm rambling again.
You're good, man.
Half off topic. I feel like I could talk forever about any question you asked. So.
Awesome. Well, while you're talking about how the projectors and everything, you recently set up for live streaming for your painting, and you did show Tyler and me earlier,
Yeah.
real quick, your setup, and
Yeah, totally.
it's absolutely unique and just incredible. I can't wait.
Yeah, you want me to pull it back up right now, or do you want to like later?
No, we'll wait till later. But
Okay,
you
okay.
want to just tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
the streaming setup?
So what I'm doing is I'll show it in a minute here. I've got this table that I work on, and I very excuse me, appropriately called out that I definitely stole this idea from Cobb and Rihanna and Nominee and Straya, like because I watched them and I was like, oh, I could set something up like that. What do I have? What are the other parts that I need? And so I have a camera that's mounted on a truss that's hanging from the ceiling, and I've got lights on either side here that are splashing inward and down onto this table. And I set up this camera, which is going to be the streaming setup is going to be sort of the classic. You can see me while you're seeing the thing that I'm working on, and it'll be kind of a disembodied head and hands that will have a little thumbnail view up in the top of the screen that shows you what I look like, how concerned or not concerned or just like vacant I look while I'm applying paint to canvas. And I'm maybe not 100% set, but like pretty set on just calling the stream "You are watching paint dry." My favorite joke about being a painter is one of the main things I do with that is I just watch paint dry because it is a big part of it. Gotta let stuff dry. But yeah, it's been an interesting process. I was talking to Ruby about this on chat a couple nights ago, where like illustrators will sometimes take a piece that they're working on and they'll mirror it so that when they're looking at it, they can make sure like, oh, I did the proportions weird here, I can fix that. Or, you it like changes the way you see the piece that you're working on. And I ended up setting up this camera and realizing that it does that for me. You can kind of see in the background, there's a, like on one of my screens, it's just this table. So when I'm working on a painting, I can just put it on the table. And then instead of what I used to have to do was like take it, if I was at a point where I wanted to really like look at it, judge it, decide if any of it needed more work or changes, I would take it off the, the table or the easel I was working on. I would set it up on a very specific easel setup with lights and everything to take a photo of it, put it back into the computer, look at it. Sometimes I would like walk away from it entirely, go walk the dogs or something, pull it up on my phone later and look at it again to try to get my brain to like disassociate from it. And now all I have to do is like turn and look. And it saves so much time, and it allows my brain to do like the same exact thing. I can see it from a really objective point of view, literally and figuratively, and realize like, oh, I composed this wrong. It's canted a little weird. I need to change this line. I need to make it look more even. Because sometimes like it's that thing when you're like really focused on what you're doing, you don't really notice what you're like you don't notice anything but like you tunnel vision down into what you're working on.
Yeah.
Like, and you sort of forget, and then you look, like if you back up from something and you look at it later and you're like, whoa, what did I do? Like, I need to change this. I need to fix that. And it could be like anything. So being able to immediately flip that perspective and go, oh, it feels like one of those things like, why didn't I think of this sooner? Right? Like all of the pieces were sort of there. It just seems so obvious now. It works so well that I'm like, I've only done one test stream because I have like a really weird night shift schedule and I'm trying to get myself into a good pattern for it. But like, I have a feeling it's gonna really change sort of the dynamic of it, even just how I work on stuff, making sure that I'm happy with it and that it's like visible and moving sort of thing. Like I can see the progress on it. I can see the changes I made, and I don't get stuck like leaning over it and painting one line and trying to get one line perfect and then not realizing that it's taken me like 4 hours to do the whole thing. I can just stop and observe. It's great. It's great.
We can't wait until you start streaming. You get a schedule in place and everything. I
think it's going to be like 2 days a week. Maybe like I'm going to try to block off like 2 hours of really dedicated working on like actual stuff that's in progress, not just like, here's a canvas that's getting primed. It's blank. Like I'm not gonna try. I'm trying to do like the interesting parts of because some of this is like I don't think people will want to see the exact sausage making process of it because it's just like this is getting it's being clear. I'm painting clear on it, and then clear will be done, and I'll have to like let it dry for 3 hours. So
all right, we got 3 hours to kill. What do you guys want to chat about? Here, let's do some Google Academy.
Yes, we could.
Google Academy is great.
That would be. Would definitely have to get the internet like connection. I'm gonna do all day while stuff dries. Whew, that's gonna be a hefty bill to get a good stream.
I'm actually really excited that you're showing your face on stream, and the only reason for that is a while back, there's a guy. He's really big on YouTube now. Draw with Jazza.
Yeah,
heard of him? Okay, so a while back he did a video of. He was talking about how when he went to start his YouTube, he wanted to do tutorials, but he wanted to show his face because he was watching other people's art tutorials and you almost have a disconnect when you can't connect it with a person. And I feel like streaming is almost that way as well. Like for me, if I watch someone drawing on stream, it almost throws me off the drawing if I can't see who's doing it.
Yeah.
In a way, I don't know what it is.
Like I said, I definitely stole this setup idea from people who are already doing it. And like Cobb was one of the first people that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Khan does it too. Rihanna does it as well. Like not everybody does it, but like you're right. It is kind of weird. And it gives it's more intimate.
Yeah, exactly. That personal factor. It's almost like you're in a studio with someone.
Yeah. And I really like that vibe. That's one of the reasons I love tuning in to people who are making art, because you get a really cool, like, sort of co-creative vibe, especially like, because, I'll watch Khan, like, he'll go for hours and hours, so it's easy to just, like, tune into him. And I'll be sitting there doing my own thing, and then I'm like, there's, like, a creative vibe, even though we're not in the same room. And it is so it's like, I've always been intrigued by that idea, and previously I've literally tried to put it inside a building. Like, I've worked with people to organize a studio to try to get that energy in one place. And then that was like another thing with streaming. One of the reasons I really kicked myself for not trying to dig into this more last year when I first had a friend helping me try to figure it out. Like, because just watching other people do it, seeing, like, Khan does this thing where he like stares down the barrel of the camera. It's so charming. And if that didn't exist, like if the opportunity for that didn't exist in being able to watch people make art, I don't think it would work right. I don't think it would work like it would just be some like science video where you're like watching a person's hands like make a thing
Yeah.
and then done. No matter how like good the audio over top of it is, if you don't, maybe it's something humans need, I guess. But like if you don't see the person's face, I don't know. It's like the emotion isn't there too.
Right.
It almost
Yeah.
felt like a requirement to be like, well, I got to figure out how to do two cameras. Like I can't just show this to me. Yeah, and like I know it's like a good it's fun to sort of joke about him, but he is a national treasure. And Bob Ross, like if we didn't ever see his face while he was making those paintings would still be rad, but there would never have been this like awesome afro puffed like happy face that like made this awesome stuff together. Like those two things wouldn't have been like combined in just the right way. Like we need that from some of those people. Like we need that personality.
I totally agree.
Personality and like
Actually,
interaction, human connection. What was that?
I was gonna say, especially if you knew Bob Ross, because he was a former Air Force guy.
That's true
Super
too. I read about
leather.
that.
Yeah. Like if you actually read up on the history of Bob Ross, before each one of those episodes, he did that painting like 20 different times.
Yeah.
So perfect.
The company that does that is in my hometown. Like they're
Like-
the if you watch the Bob Ross, I just doxed my town. If anybody figures it out, go watch Bob Ross documentary. Like,
Now we know where Irrezolut is.
I don't know where the building is in my town, but it's like he did it. I think 3 of each painting, and like each time he did a show, it was like 10 paintings or something, because they would record like a series in like a week or whatever. Like I guess however a TV show gets recorded day after day, Monday through Friday or whatever. But like he would do tons of them, and they have all of them. You can't buy them. Like you can't own a Bob Ross. Like no one owns a Bob Ross.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, the tangent. I love that guy. That show is amazing. It was on public access where I grew up because he was in.
Oh shoot, Bob Ross still dominates Twitch. For God's
Dude,
sake!
yeah.
I was logging on tonight. He's got 2,000 people watching him.
They broadcast the shows, and it's like, this is now an ad for that documentary. It is so. I think it's so wonderful that they do that, because it's like that gives a really cool like professional backbone to the art streaming that's happening on Twitch as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like Bob Ross is a name, right? Everybody knows Bob Ross.
Iconic, yeah.
Dude, and it's like it's one of those things that everybody loves his art, and it's really easy to love because it's these wonderful scenes and he does them so genuinely. And like having that on Twitch as well makes me feel really good that it's like we're not leaving behind this important thing, because it's like so many times formats of like media gets updated and it's like, oh yeah, that was on VHS and we're just never going to watch it again. Like, oh, that was a laser disc. It was only produced on laser disc. No one's ever going to see that again. Like, but the Bob Ross people are like, no, it's all of it. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitch. Like they're probably going to put it on Mixer. I'm sure they will, it's probably on Facebook also. It's great that it's not going away. They're making sure that it stays. And I think it's a really small like business too. It's only like a couple people. At least that's what it looks like in the documentary. But anyway, ad for Bob Ross documentary over? Probably not. We're gonna bring it up like 10
We're gonna go back to it for sure. Maybe after the stream.
Just have a Bob Ross like chat, weekly Bob Ross chat.
Yeah. Well, one last question before we get rolling into everything.
Awesome. Sure.
Actually, there's 2 more. We'll save one to the end. But when you're painting or working on something, what do you usually have playing in the background as far as ambient noise or music?
So I feel like I should have switched to something different at some point, and I never did. But I have Apple Music, and I just have Apple Music playlists that I like to cycle through. I feed it a lot of information. Like I always, like weekly, it gives me like 3 or 4 new curated playlists, and I will go in and very actively like and add to playlists my own stuff, so that it's really curated, I guess. And
Yeah.
they also do their own curation thing, and it works really well. I find that it works really well. I have no complaints about Apple Music, and I will throw no shade at Apple, but it is also like not very portable, and
Shade.
it
There
might
it
be going
is.
away. Like, no, I mean they literally are like taking, and they do this with everything. Like every company in the world deprecates software and support and whatever, but like I kind of wish I had like gotten Spotify or something else that's a little bit more like, everybody's, because Apple's so whatever, it's walled garden, sunk cost fallacy, other expressions that have to do with technology. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like I can't leave my iPhone ever because it's on, like my music is attached to it. But yeah, that or I love rewatching certain TV shows on like Hulu or Netflix. I'll just turn something on. A lot of anime or like 30 Rock. Liz Lemon is my spirit animal, and I will watch her forever. I will watch that show just forever. Like that is like the ultimate visualization of a crazy creative person working in the real world. Um, and Tina Fey is a national treasure and a genius for it. But yeah, like one of those two things, a little bit of TV or music. I used to work in record stores, so I love all sorts of different kinds of music. So I like to let the music software like throw other stuff at me.
That's pretty cool. So you don't listen to just a specific genre or something. You just let it go to town.
I have a couple of preferences, like certain kinds of electronic music and hip hop, but like no, I'll pretty much listen to anything. And I'm even one of those people who won't go like everything but country. Like no, I'll listen to some country music. Like it's fine. Like there's a lot of stuff that's really good. You're not gonna catch me listening to like sort of that modern. It sounds like college rock with a twang country, but like I listen to some old Hank and stuff like that for sure.
Do you find that what you're listening to influences how you're painting?
I mean, maybe, but not really, because what I do is I try to use what I'm listening to, especially if I'm listening to music, to like get me into what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll listen to something that's fast because I want to work fast. Like I'll listen to drum and bass or metal or something that'll like amp me up, or like some like really upbeat hip hop. Like if I want to, if I'm in a mood and I'm like there, but it doesn't really go the other way for me, I don't think. Not really. Like I will pull inspiration from music or movies or TV or whatever, but not in that like I'll like ingest it first and then it'll come out a different way. It'll be like an input output sort of
right. It's
thing.
not like a direct connection.
Yeah, where it's like the music that I will hear will get in there and it will come out as a painting or something, some part of a design or something. Like I'll get the vibe from it for sure, but it'll be like this melange of everything that I've ingested. So if I'm like watching something cool, like I'm rewatching My Hero Academia right now, and like noticing a lot of they do these. I know there's a name for it in anime. It's the kind of frame, like stop frame they do, where it's like just it's really sketchy looking, and I'm like noticing more of that and realizing, oh, I really like the way that these two kinds of layering techniques interplay here, and trying to figure out how to take that out of it. And I'll like hear something in a song or see something in another illustration or some other that reminds me of all those things like smashed together, and I'll pull something out of that. But I don't think I've ever let it like go in that direction. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should just like focus in and see if it goes that direction also.
Play some EDM music and have neon paints.
I could. I mean, I have done live painting at like electronic music shows before. It's mostly in sort of the milieu of like a graffiti, like you get a wall or you get a section of the wall.
Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, man. I mean, Jackson Pollock, definitely one of my influences, but did he like, was that a thing? Did they like, I'm sure they probably did. That was like a Beats era sort of thing.
I have no idea if he listened to music while painting. It would kind of make sense with the way his stuff works, but I have no idea if that's like an actual thing.
I would imagine that it is nothing like, and also simultaneously exactly like the scene in The Big Lebowski where the lady is in the harness and she's just like swinging the brushes, being like slung through the room. There's got to be music playing when that's going on. I feel like that's not a silent. Like there isn't. It's not
it would be really awkward if it was silent.
It's the quietest room ever while someone's swinging by on it.
Right?
Yeah.
You just hear all these wet paint splatter.
Oh man, but yeah. No, I mean music is a big part of enjoying creativity, doing creativity, and just like I've always loved music, so it's a big part of all that stuff. But definitely from a more controlled, like mood point of view.
Nice.
I'll get sad from the song though. This song make me cry.
Oh, I'll get the vapors. For sure. But just so you know, fun fact, Jackson Pollock was largely influenced by jazz music.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
Perfect then. Of
that
course.
Makes absolute sense.
I don't know a lot about Pollock.
Did you Google that, or did you know that?
Yeah, I want to know.
I remember watching a documentary on him, and then I wrote a paper on him before in college, but I had
you're
to
my
make
hero,
sure.
because he's like one of my favorites.
You should see what I wrote on Van Gogh. My God.
Ooh. I have a NASA shirt that has Van Gogh Starry Night on it. It's one of my favorite shirts.
Have you ever tried to duplicate his works?
No.
The amount of freaking medium you have to blend in is outrageous.
So I work in layers, and I couldn't. That is a technique. I always get the name wrong because there's like 7 or 8 Italian words that mean almost the same thing, like carving into something or building up on top of something. And I do not remember them like ever, but there's like a technique of how much you build up onto the canvas, like layer, and it's like chunks. And that's wild. That's like so much work. And it takes so long for that stuff to dry, even if it's not oils.
Oh, some of it will never dry. Like it's that thick. Like I did a copy in college of a wheat field with crows.
Oh wow. Damn.
Dude, the amount of medium and the amount of time that it took me to build everything up just to get the texture right was I'll never attempt it again. It took me months.
I'll have to find it. There's an artist who literally, the stuff they use for like cakes for the frosting.
Like
she throws acrylic paint in that.
Ooh,
and builds layers. Yeah, it's insane. It's like 3D, but it's still like painted at the same time. It's crazy. I'll have to find it for you guys. I forget her name.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
She has stuff that like it's like a person coming out of a tree. And it's like 3 feet off the canvas of paint. It's crazy. I'm like, I don't understand.
That's sculpture.
It's like, this took me like 6 years. I'm like, yeah, because you spent letting it dry.
And that's a thing. Like, one of the reasons that I think it's really easy to switch to digital and like have digital versions of all of these things, these analog, mediums. Like I have a drying rack. It is huge. It takes up as much of a room as like a bed would, basically. So it is like there are reasons that people don't become painters and instead become digital painters. It's because like, I can have an iPad and I can have every tool that I need and it never has to dry. I don't have to have a special room to keep all my art in when I'm done.
Yep.
So like that kind of progress is like, there's a lot of validity in the fact that like you don't have to clean up ink ever. You don't spill ink because you're just using an iPad or a computer or a Wacom tablet. Like you don't have to stain all of your clothes. You don't have to have the attitude that all pants are painting pants because all pants look like paint on them. And it's like, you can't have nice
character.
Clothes. You should see.
It's like that grease stain on your pants when you go into public,
it tells you what you do. But like the thing that I'm telling people that I do is just make a mess. I'm like, the shorts I'm wearing right now are covered in paint, so I keep looking at them. Like, but it also, that's one of those things that you have to learn way later when you're a painter, is that like, yeah, all pants will become painting pants, and you just need to like deal with it, or never wear. If you want to have your pants not be painting pants, always wear them for just like the one you go out of the house and you have those pants. Those are your out of the house pants, or whatever you choose to wear. Shirt, dress, I don't know. Just don't get paint on it. If you want one that doesn't have paint on it, if you want them to all have paint on it, do whatever.
We were
I
saving
love
that as the quote of the day. All pants are painting pants.
That someone said to me, so I'm like literally quoting Cat Hubs. I don't know if she has Twitter or Facebook or any.
Well, you know what? We
Someone I used to work with. She's a very talented artist. Also, she's a printmaker and painter. And cat
And
did you
all
say a
pants.
printmaker?
printmaker. Yeah, she does.
Oh, printmaker.
Print. Yeah.
I thought you said crib. I was like,
Oh,
that is something
no,
I've never heard of.
That would be a carpenter, right? Like,
Right. That's what I was like, there's
highly specified.
Put that on a lathe.
I only make cribs.
I cut the tree down myself.
From roots to branch.
We left the silver bark on.
Yes, it's a very nice
For
crib.
texture.
Rustic.
Right.
Awesome. Tyler, you want to bring us into the body of everything?
Yeah.
Nitty
So
gritty?
we kind of touched base on it a little earlier when you were talking about, of what you do as far as painting. But we obviously know you do a lot of the guns from Destiny. So how much research do you do before you actually start a painting? I know you mentioned a little bit, you kind of hop in games sometimes, or you go into a 3D
Well,
model.
so I would say that the original research was starting to play Destiny and getting just like gobsmacked by the design and that. And I've always been a collector in games. Like I played when I was in college, I played Final Fantasy XI, and one of the things that I liked doing in that was collecting gear, like getting rare gear, collecting gear sets for my character. And I do that in a lot of games. I'll like 100% an open world RPG because I want to find every sort of thing you can collect. Like Nier Automata, I played a lot of that, and Horizon Zero Dawn was a game. I guess it's been a couple of years since that came out, but that was one of the last like open world games that I went 100% in because I wanted to like collect everything. And it's because I'm fascinated by, inspired by the objects that get designed in video games and the weaponry. For a lot of games where that's like the sort of the main part is you go and you fight, or you're a soldier, or you're a sort of warrior or something like that. Those, so much time gets poured into designing them, and they just fascinate me. And I don't know if I ever want to get into designing them myself, but I love the idea of putting together, like folding together to combine the sort of fine art world and this designed world and making representations of them. So like the actual research starts at like, oh, that one looks awesome. Like, and it sounds amazing because Destiny is one of those games that has amazing audio quality. Or like one that I'm working on right now, I'm doing a painting of the Leviathan axe from God of War. And like that is one of the most amazing designs in a game that I've ever seen. Like the object itself evolves over time, and like the graphics of it change from the handle is just wood, and then it gets this gold inlay that like spirals up the wood. And it's like every time the object changes in game, it changes because you've had a conversation with this character, or these two characters really. And it has all this like weight behind it, all this stuff attached to it, because you see this thing in the game and it reminds you of everything that you did in the game, or it makes you think about the stuff you want to accomplish in the game. So yeah, just immediately it's like, okay, this one looks rad, this one feels rad, it sounds rad. And then I go and I jump into Destiny is really Bungie's amazing because they encourage so much of their community to make art out of the things that are in the game. And then they great give you the assets in the game and they're like, do something with this. Tell us what it is. Like, it on our website, but like do something with this. So they give you like tons of assets. And then they have I forget who makes the specific model viewer I use, but I think it's Lowly Dev actually. And I pull up like a 3D model of that. But you can also like through the like the phone app, the Destiny Companion app, you can also see them. Yeah. And so you can like easily sort of pull it up on a computer and blow it up and get a good look at the sort of layout of that stuff. And then I'll also like I will look for video game art especially. Most of the stuff that I'm interested in doing that I end up working on, I'm pretty familiar with the lore already. But like if I don't know what it is, I will go look up a ton about it, right? Especially with Destiny, there can be little crevices of things that I just don't know a lot about because the game is so huge. But like I've been working on some Borderlands art. I haven't played a ton of Borderlands, so I had to look up a little bit about some of that. I played a little bit of 1 and I played 2 through like one of the expansions and then I kind of just fell off. But like, you know, God of War, I played through that and I loved it. And so there was like so much lore in that I knew because I knew a bunch of Norse mythology. That was weird. And like that lore was already sort of encapsulated in there, knowing about that. It gives me a good spot for like knowing the style. But you know, Wikipedia is your friend. Cool. There's, you know, I think any artist, I'm going to get real philosophical while answering a question about where I do research. But like anyone who says they're making something like completely original, maybe look into that, check and see for sure, because like the notes already exist. All of it already exists. I'm just sort of working with what's already out there and sort of recombining it and, you know, using it my way, the way that any composer might. So like just finding things that like touch on the inspiration part, but also give me the information I need for like something that is sort of very diagrammatic looking painting. You know, with video games, there's always, not always, but there's usually a way to like look at so many versions of like the original concept art and see what the original artists were doing so that your homage like fits into that, or like know more about the world so that your, you know, reference is accurate. You know, so like I'm doing a painting of Telesto or Telesto. I don't know where the emphasis goes in the syllables, but like I was looking up the Queen's Crest, like the it probably has a name, but like with the crown and the star shapes on it, that's on like Petra's like
their uniforms and
flags. Yeah, and it's what is this thing called? What bandolier thing? Right, it's like a big badge that's like right on her shoulder, and finding the right things in that, you know, finding like, okay, this does match this thing, like these two concepts, they actually do go together. Like that's important. But for something like Destiny, I know so much. Like I played so much of the game. I know so much of the lore. I know so much of like the iconography and symbols, and so it's pretty easy. But you know, Google.
Google is the answer.
Yeah, it's great because like I almost feel like I'm old enough to know when that wouldn't have been possible at all, and it would have been like playing the game is the only way you know about how you might want to do like some sort of homage to it. There's no one else makes other parts of it. No one else makes fan art of it. And now there is this like huge like amount of people that make things that are similar to the things that I make, and I can go see their examples and like get inspiration from them and like figure out like, okay, well, someone did this concept inspires me, or this literally inspires me. Like Gamma a couple weeks ago put up an illustration that was just like a doodle that I know he's done other work in the same vein, but like he literally was just like, this is just a couple of the first sketch layers I did. If anybody wants to do their own version based off of this, go for it. And I have a piece that I'm working on that's based on that. And it's like, that wouldn't have existed. I wouldn't have had this sort of like little facet of how to do this piece of art without him also making that, or the other people who make, you know, the amazing volume of really cool video game and like fan art and referential art.
Absolutely. So we kind of also touched on this one a little earlier, but what are the main tools that you use for painting? Do you use like spatulas? Do you use brushes?
Yeah, I mean, I have brushes for days. I have so many brushes of all sorts
behind you,
yeah. These are all my little detail brushes, right? I've had this brush since I was 16. It's mostly held together with tape at this point. But also like, I mean, we talked about like how computers and printers and scanners and projectors and all sorts of stuff, like technological pieces are a part of it. But like a really important tool that I use is the door frame. And that's because in houses, checking my door frames, the door frames are square. And so one of the things I have to do is because I stretch my canvases, I don't buy pre-made canvases. I try to work starting on raw canvas because I like to leave parts of it untouched. So I stretch my own canvases, and you have to build a frame for that. And one of the easiest ways to make sure it's actually square is to put it up in the corner of your door frame and tap it with a mallet so that it actually like nestles into that. So yeah, like little things. There's a lot of like small tools that if you've been doing this for long enough, like water is for painting obviously like super important in a lot of ways, but like one thing that can happen when you're working the way I do is sometimes the canvas can stretch a little unevenly and it'll buckle and it'll bubble and warp. So like one thing that I learned while I was in art school, but not in a painting class, was that you can take warm water and put it like on the back of a painting and then let it dry and it tightens the canvas back out and it fixes all those warp spots. So like most people wouldn't think of that as a tool that does something, but it is something that I have to use pretty constantly. And it's a weird little like quirk of, you know, if I was working digitally or if I was doing this other thing, I wouldn't have water as a tool or like a door frame. I mean, a good electric staple gun was like the best investment I ever made in painting. And I can't think of anyone else that I know that makes art that would be like, yeah, staple gun. You know what I mean? It's like, I went through 3. Like I had to find one that finally worked like the best. And, you know, it took a lot of years to find the right staple gun. And I don't think I'm ever going back from this little $50 Boss Stitch staple gun. You know what I mean? Like it's finally have a good one.
But wait a minute, did you say you have an electric staple gun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here, check it out.
Oh my gosh, looks like a nail gun.
Yeah, it is. It'll do Brads. I don't think they're actually called Bradleys. I like to call them Bradleys. It makes them sound fun. But yeah, it's like this is the 3rd one I've ever owned, and I actually just got it when I did this round of paintings for GuardianCon, because I did 15 in a row, and that was the most I'd ever done in like one thing. And the best way I think to do that sort of thing is to do like all of the steps sort of in phase, and like I did all the stretching, I did all the priming, and then I did all the sketching, and it was all done like simultaneously. So.
What do you prime with? Do you use gesso?
Yeah. I just got a big bucket. I just got a big bucket of like actual nice gesso. Costs a lot of money, but I use a lot of it. And if you get crappy gesso, you can really tell, and it makes priming take longer, and it cracks and it does weird things. But yeah, it's Utrecht brand. It's an old art store.
Do you ever sand down your canvases after gessoing? You do?
Yeah, some. Like a lot of times I'll leave it rough because I want to just start with a rough surface, a lot like a heavy tooth sort of thing. But actually it was really like getting into the Destiny community of artists. Rihanna Nominate, who taught me last year, there's a different kind of surface that I was having an issue with not being able to get a fine enough tooth with gesso and the canvas I was using. And she was like, "Oh, try this stuff," and it's a watercolor ground, which is actually like, it functions the same way with a water-based or an acrylic paint that it would with watercolor, in that it like absorbs the same way that gesso and primer, that sort of thing will do. So it's like, but it's like finer tooth. If you know if you catch my meaning on tooth in that. But yeah, it's it works really well for sketching onto. So like takes colored pencil really well, and it takes pens and regular old graphite drawing pencils really well. Then it also takes paint really well, which is, it's hard to find substances and surfaces that do both. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very nice.
Naminé's the best. She would be my go-to person if I had any questions related to that.
Dude, she knows. We had a conversation about this a while back. I just assumed she had like gobs of art school experience, but it's almost all self-taught, and like she has so much knowledge that she's been able to like throw to me that has been so helpful. I went to art school for graphic design, and so I never got real formal education on painting like at all, not since high school. And having like, I had also never really met other painters that were like, "Oh yeah, here's some tips." Like, here's just some how I do stuff.
That's
and it was really strange, like meeting her and realizing like, why did I not go seek out, like I knew a few other painters, but no one that worked in the same volume or like frequency or consistency as me. And finally like meeting other painters that do like similar mediums and work on like similar subject matter, and then having them also have like a wealth of knowledge has been like so amazing, and she's been so helpful to me. Like she's probably going to say like, "Oh, you like how," but like definitely like I've learned more about like materials and application from watching her in the last like year and a half than any other artist that I've worked with directly. Like it's been great. Like painting wise, having other people to have examples and stuff like that has been amazing.
That's fantastic.
It's like such a true statement though as well, is I feel like the newer generation is really open with sharing stuff versus the old art generation is very like,
dude,
I learned how to do it, so this is mine. You know what I mean?
There, and so
unless you want to pay them for it.
right. Like that's another thing about like just Twitch and art communities in general lately that has been, I felt like it's been like, talk about tools, like that's a tool. Like it does heavy lifting for you. Having other people, having other ideas, like sharing them and accepting is like a huge, that is so different than like conserving ideas and keeping the ideas only for themselves. I remember I had a professor in college that was like showing us a little bit about how to do something in Photoshop, and then he showed us some results of something that he had made and refused to tell us how to do it. And he was like, "We're getting this patented." And I'm like, why did you show us? Like, why did you show us that it's a process that we could have learned? I mean, show us your art, cool, whatever, that's fine. But like, it seems so strange to me. And I like to live by, there's a George Bernard Shaw quote that goes, "If I have an apple and you have an apple and we exchange apples, then we each still have one apple. But if I have an idea and you have an idea and we exchange ideas, then we each have two ideas." And I love that concept. It's this infinitely malleable thing that you could share repeatedly and it never breaks. Like it doesn't get worn out. Like you share an idea, the idea doesn't go away. No one gets to take it from you. Like there's a lot of things that are, maybe good ideas and good information that should maybe be secrets or be simple and confined and whatever. But like ideas about making art should be free. They should be not free, just free, but like they should be shared freely, unrestricted. You should be able to put an idea out there, and if someone else makes it better than you, work your ass off, make it better than them if you want. If you don't, if you're just like, "Oh, I shared that idea and that's the better version of it, I always wanted to see that thing," or hear that thing, or like I always wanted to experience that thing. Let it go. Let someone else make it.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
And it's just so like there's so much ease of access to that stuff now that like if you don't, you're locking yourself in. And you can like refine your brand. You can make sure people don't steal your shit, bite your work, but like, you know, share it, make it something that's, you know, something that someone else can do something with too, so that it
Right.
makes so that you can do more with it after, and they can do, and you can just keep like passing it back and forth to make it build and build and build.
Right. No, I agree with that. That's like, I don't know if you guys follow Clinton, but lately he's been doing these like 45-second tutorials, right?
Oh, nice.
And for me, it's like, okay, Clinton's sharing his process in a tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way me just learning this, am I ever going to be able to compete with Clinton on his level of knowledge now? You know what I mean? But it's awesome because now I have a stepping stone to get there eventually, which is kind of how I look at sharing art techniques and stuff. You know what I mean? Like if you're teaching me something about painting, I'm not going to tomorrow suddenly bust out the same level of painting that you can do. You know what I mean?
Work.
It's a stepping stone. You've now spread it down to someone else and they can work on it and learn and kind of thing. And that's what I like more about lately. I feel like more artists are open to, like you said, sharing.
Yeah. And look, you've got to be able to like make money making art. If it's your job and that's all you do, then yes, there are things that you should do to protect your brand, your style, your own personal investments, accomplishments, achievements, everything. But like not sharing sort of the how and why, or like the kernel of that idea, because you're right, like no one can make a duplicate of Clinton's pieces just off of his shared tutorials.
Right.
But like eventually someone who's only trying to bite his style might get like real close, but more likely someone who's just like, oh, this is rad, I like this, might take some inspiration from it and take inspiration from 50 other things, a million other things, and go in a completely different direction. But it's got a little bit of that DNA in it. It got pulled out, it got transferred in, and now it's like a piece of what else you're making. And that's I love that, because I want there to be inspiration from 15, 20, 30 different things in what I'm working on, right? Or I want to drill it down to just like one, inspired by one thing, or homage to one thing, or referencing one thing. But I want that option, and I want to be able to pull from all those different places. And that's just like, there's almost those moments where it's like, oh, it's the way it is and it couldn't have been any other way. Like the sort of culmination of all of the artistic things that I've done of the last like 20 years, finding some like real traction and like fans in this particular thing has been, you know, if it wasn't for the way that sort of thing gets shared now, if it wasn't for the openness of a game studio like Bungie making something that's so rife for fan art, like if all those things hadn't actually lined up, I don't think it would have worked at all, right? Like I think I needed all of these little pieces to like get in place before I could get to this.
Right.
Before I could get to any, like, oh, I'm able to actually sell a painting like a month after it's made, a week after it's made, and not like after trying to sell it for 5 years or something like that.
Or like most artists, after you die.
I have, well, right? Yeah. I don't want to sell them then. I mean, maybe I do, but I also don't. I want to sell them before then.
Right.
Like, I have paintings that I have literally had. I sold one last year that I made in 1999, 2000. I think I finished it in 2000. And I sold it for way less than I ever listed it for. But it was like, it probably wasn't going to sell any other way, right?
Yeah.
At least not for another long interval, in which case I may have needed bread between point A and B, right? So, yeah. What was the question?
Well, since we're on this topic, do you have any tips or suggestions that you might want to share?
Like general ones?
Like maybe some
No.
techniques or
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's like be open to finding other techniques. Like because it's kind of a rude, horrible saying, right? But like there's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat. And
Only if
there's
you don't like cats.
I know, I love cats. I love dogs more, but like let's not get into it. The, there's 10 ways to stretch a canvas. Probably 8 of them are right. But I do it a certain way that feels very meditative. And if I have to do 3 or 4 of them in a row or 15, then it's, you know, it is what it is. There's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. There's a best way to do it. There's a fast way to do it. Like be open to any of the versions of what you want to do, because like that nobody's perfect sort of like you're just going to start and you're going to finish a piece. The in between might not look right, good, sensible, whatever, but like if you work on it and you're having a good time sort of getting from point A to point B, be cool with whatever experiment you take to get there. I recently made some stickers that are kind of reminiscent of a design from Ghost in the Shell. If y'all are familiar with the Standalone Complex series they did, there was a there's an entity called the Laughing Man, and it had this icon that was very GIF-like. It had this little rotating text on it, right? I made a sticker that has that, and around the outside, it just says, fuck around and find out. And it's this idea of like do an experiment, just do it. Like, you don't know where that little visual experiment, that work is going to go exactly when you start. You might have the clearest picture in your head. Like, you don't know for sure. So like you might as well get started and see where it's going to get to. And I love that. That's what I've been trying to live by that lately, because it's this, I read recently someone explained something that really spoke to me about an attitude that I have, habits that I have that prevent me from finishing things. And it's about being like a perfectionist, right? It's like trying to make it just right. So I like start something, and if it's not just right, I'll start over. But like lately instead of doing that, I've been trying to just sort of like, okay is good enough, right? Perfect's probably not going to happen. So like that saying of like, I'm totally blanking on this, like normal colloquialism on earth, where it's like that idea of like, try your hardest and do your best. It's like actually mediocre is usually fine. Like if you can't manage to do the 100% version, at least you did the 50% version of it. Like at least you got out of bed and tried and did the whatever, right? Like, so just start, fuck around and find out.
I love it.
Quotes from Irrezolut.
I'm here. I'm going to be an old Southern grandpa before I'm old. And I'm just going to have so many tiny wisdoms to share.
The little nuggets of wisdom.
Don't look into how I'm actually doing. My wisdoms, though, for you.
Very awesome. Well, painting obviously takes up a lot of time. So how do you manage work and family life and creative life all in one?
Lately I haven't, because for the last like 8 or 9 months I've worked a night shift, which basically means that I don't interact with most other humans. So it's weird. Like
I just love how you put that.
My weekends are Monday and Tuesday, and I work from like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And so I usually get up at about I try to get up before noon, but most of the time, if I'm like not tired at the end of my shift at 2 a.m, I stay up until like 4 or 5 or 6. So sleeping until noon or staying in bed until noon is like kind of par for the course. But a lot of it's like layering. or not layering. That's not the right word. It's about doing stuff at the same time. A lot of times I will know I want to work on a painting later that night, but I need to do like a layer that just seals it, or like a primer or whatever. Like it's at a layer, it's at a point where I need to dry a lot of paint and I need to let it sit. Well, I'm not going to do that at like 8 o'clock or whatever. You know, if I get off at 2 in the morning, I'm not going to do it at 3 in the morning. I'm going to do that right when I wake up, and I'm going to leave it on the drying rack all day so that at 3 in the morning, when I actually want to paint something that I could maybe stream or I could whatever, like it's ready. So it's sort of like stacking and like letting the timers go on a bunch of different things, because a lot of these, it is watching paint dry, right? Like you have to leave it sit for hours and hours and hours. So I've got a space where I can dry like 5 or 6 things, depending on how big they are. I'll set something up. I'll walk away from it. You know, when I take a lunch break at like 11 o'clock at night, I'll, you know, work on something a little bit, let that dry until my shift ends, or, you know, and then my weekend days are just like, I have to do all my regular, you know, earthly errands. I have to go to the grocery store. I have to go to the doctor or whatever, you know, like all that stuff gets stacked up on those days. And that includes like playing some Destiny, or like watching a movie that I haven't seen yet, or working on a painting. And I have a couple of good things that let me like reset day to day, sort of, you know, I can walk my dogs for like a really long time, my dog and my dad's dog. And it's like great little intervals of things to do. Like the night shift life is a weird schedule, but I'm pretty attuned to it now. And, you know, so long as I get the regular shit that everybody has to get done on like a Monday or Tuesday, I'm pretty good. And I can squeeze in time for painting and playing video games and all that stuff in between.
That makes a lot of sense. I recently kind of experienced the same thing where I wasn't drawing as much because of work and family and things like that, and found myself where I was in a situation now that I had the iPad where I could take it and draw on my lunch break, because before I was finding I was taking my lunch but then still working because there was nothing to distract you, right? So that's kind of where I was like, you know what? If I draw while I'm on my lunch, then I'm going to use up the hour to take my mind off work.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Really. So I can definitely relate to you on the whole multitask layering stuff, but at the same time, it kind of works.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm very lucky in that I get to work from home for my job. So a lot of time that would be spent, I mean, where I live in the Washington, D.C. area. And if I had to drive somewhere for work every day, that would be 2 to 4 of my hours every day gone. Yeah. It was. Previous jobs that I've had, it was 100%, like, without a doubt, I burned at least 2 to 4 hours a day on travel. And that was great for playing some mobile games on my phone, or like I got a Switch, and that was, it made transit time, because I rode the train. It wasn't like driving my car, like, oh, Breath of the Wild is fucking amazing. Like, what do you mean I crashed into a semi? I was taking down this giant 4-legged puzzle beast. Anyway, like I can stack in a lot of stuff in places where, you know, people might have to burn time otherwise right now. So I have been pretty lucky. I was especially lucky. The job that I was doing actually slowed down a lot in the lead up to GuardianCon. So I had all this like sort of crunch time that I had put myself on, like, and then that job actually, like, we had less work to do for a while, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is just the right timing, and I was able to actually like finish stuff. I probably wouldn't have finished nearly as much as I did if I hadn't sort of been graciously told, like, y'all can start doing like basically like half days. Like you're gonna. I only got to bill for half days, but like, you know, there wasn't enough work to do for a while because we were changing phases and releasing a new part of the game, and so it was like all of the build up to this thing, and you know. But yeah, dude, that otherwise it's like, if I still had that day job where I had to take the metro every day, forget about it. It's same thing. as you. I wasn't doing anything. I was just coming home and like walk the dog, feed the dog, eat, have my own dinner, play a little bit of Destiny, fall asleep, go back to work the next day.
Right.
Like it's a lot. It takes a
Yeah.
lot out of you.
Very true.
Yeah, depending on your job, might be more than other people too. Like I don't know what you do for a day job. You said something about medical something earlier. I imagine that can be pretty hectic.
Yeah. I'm in transition right now, so I can't really say what I'm doing. But
It's
I
fun.
know
But it's probably more intense than, um, uh, you know, logging in and helping someone with their online role-playing game farm or whatever I'm doing.
that seems pretty intense. So
I don't know if you met some. No, I'm just kidding.
some people take their video game profiles very serious.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I know a lot about that, both personally and from work.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot of happy guardians about the crossplay.
Dude,
Cross save, I should say.
Like, I wish it was crossplay. If it was crossplay, I'd be.
If it is crossplay, I'd lose my mind because no one plays on Xbox that I want to play with. Except for Farian. Shout out to Farian. He's on Xbox with me. But a majority of the fellow artists in the community are either on PC or PS4. Yeah.
And it's mostly PlayStation. Although I got to play with Jonesy last night, who did this shirt, by the way. I know he's in chat. What's up, Jonesy? Like, he led us through a Scourge raid. We had 3 people who had done it and 3 people who hadn't, and we did. It was great. It was super fun. But yeah, it was like the only reason they were able to do that is because of cross save. Like, yeah. All these people were like, "Oh, I played on PS4. I played on Xbox. I did all this other stuff, and now I can finally play with people that like I know." And it's gonna be like, I'm gonna get to play with my PS4 clan, the progenitors, like Calvin and I shouldn't say their real names. Calvin's great though. He's the clan leader. Spectre and Vongala and Soldier and Tate, all these dudes that I've been playing with. Some of these cats I've known since high school and started playing D1 with, and we get to play together again. They want me to play Iron Banner literally right now. They were messaging me before this. They were like, "You're on PlayStation." And I'm like, "I can't. All my stuff is hooked up to this thing." But it's like, I'll play with them soon.
Very cool. Well, we talked about research a little bit and Google University.
Oh, that was what the question was. I remember that question.
Yeah. So have you ever, we call it rabbit holing. Have you ever come across a fun fact or something interesting while you were researching that had nothing to do with what you were actually researching?
So when Ace was on a couple weeks ago, I logged in like right when he was telling his fun fact.
Yeah.
That was a good fun fact. That was
we've had a couple good ones lately.
Monocultures is an interesting topic. But I can't say that I've had like lately a rabbit hole that does the whole like from me going to look for art things. I can't say that that's happened lately. I am one of those people though that has like a million trivia facts, but because you have asked for one, my brain is like, you don't know any of these, and like it won't spit anything out. But like, I've worked a lot of different jobs over the years. I've worked in the music industry. I've worked in the software industry. I've worked in like so many different places, and you learn weird things at jobs. You learn weird things about people or about like places that you work with. And it is like there's a Douglas Adams book that the subtitle of the book, it's a Dirk Gently book, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. There's a TV show of it nowadays. But there's a book that is called A Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. And
I like the title.
Right? He's amazing. Douglas Adams is amazing. And I will say that like I have had to go look up let's just call them users in systems that I have been an administrator of in IT and game support. And when you have to rabbit hole down like finding out who a person is, that's not a fun thing to do. But it sometimes is hilarious because you sometimes learn like the weirdest things about people. But yeah, I can't. I knew this was going to happen. I don't even have a good fun fact. I've said probably like 60,000 words. Can't think of a good fun fact. Pass.
Yeah. Pass. Rain check?
Hard pass. No.
Yeah. We're going to do a rain check. We're going to come back to you.
That monoculture fun fact is a good fun fact. Ace picked a good fun fact. If I hadn't heard him have that fun fact, that could have been mine.
Yeah, that was a mind-blowing fact.
Dude, because like
I would use that at work. I would be telling people at work about the bananas.
Let me go further than that because I heard on some podcast or something recently, I'm going to steal Ace's fun fact and I'm going to one-up it and he can fight me because we live close to each other. If we want to fight about it, we can fight about it. You can actually so the process that allowed banana monocultures to be a thing and to be a perilously dangerous thing that we could lose, tip of a hat. You can do that to any tree. You can take a fruit-bearing tree branch and you can graft it onto a regular-ass non-fruit-bearing tree, and that tree will bear fruit. Not on all of its other branches. It won't just like magically spawn bananas or whatever, but like that branch will live and you can get fruit off of it. And apparently people were doing this in cities and it was fucking things up because cities don't plan for there to be fruit that like animals eat or like just drops on the sidewalk or whatever and makes a mess. So like these people were doing it as like this guerrilla like action. They were going and doing this action of like taking a tiny chunk out of the fruit, putting an apple branch on it and being like, bam, this one's going to grow apples now.
One of my buddies actually has a tree that's got like 6 different fruits on it.
Really?
Yeah, he just took it's the most Frankenstein tree you'll ever see. But it's like tangerines and then like dates and like a pear. It's all over the place. And you're just like, what is this bastardization of nature?
So weird that like, so you can't do that with like a human. You can't just like put an arm that doesn't go on a human and be like, got you your arm back. Like it doesn't work.
Like that guy's really buff. I want his arm.
I'm not getting rid of my arms though. I'm getting his arms also. No, like you can't. I have, so I can like maybe show the camera pretty close. Like I have scars all over this arm because I broke this arm rollerblading.
I was going to say kittens.
No, I fell off a skate ramp and broke my arm in half. It was great. It was horrible. But there's titanium in there. But there's this whole thing where it's like you can't get certain stuff can't go even in you. Your body like rejects it. Titanium is one of those things that you can have. It's like sterile. It goes into people for implants and whatever. Like
even then it can get rejected. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but like it's one of those things that's like really, but you can't just like, oh, my hand doesn't work. I can't just get a new hand. Lizards, right. Though. Sometimes you can get a new lizard part. I don't think you can get
so awkward. Sometimes you can get new lizard parts.
The lizard parts grow back, right? But like you can't just like put a new so this analogy, where am I going?
I think it's kind of limited. I think it's like tails, maybe a
Is it
foot.
Only a tail?
I know tails will grow back because it's a defense mechanism where they will sacrifice their tails to
eject button.
Yeah, they hit the eject button on their tail.
Away.
I dig it. I wish I could hit the eject button sometime.
You don't have a tail.
You did.
Arm.
Not really, but like.
Yeah,
but then you can't get your arm back.
Small tail.
We're in a weird place right now.
We're going into.
I just noticed that. Did Ruby leave? What happened to Ruby? She didn't even get to.
Ruby had to bounce.
She to her daughter.
Sorry.
Yep. With the holiday and everything, she had to take care of something, and
I feel like there were segments, and I steamrolled her because I went too long in all the segments, and her section was next.
It's all right. We flowed into it.
It's okay.
It was actually a perfect flow. It was a really nice transition.
Ruby is, you just can't replace Ruby when it comes to the 60-second challenge, though.
Oh right, we haven't even done that piece yet.
Oh, I think we're
I'm
at
so
it.
worried about this.
Well, let's dive into it.
Okay. Somebody
Let's
give me
get her done.
don't make it horrible. I'm gonna switch the
Joe, you want me to get the timer?
camera.
I will
Oh, no.
grab the timer now. This is usually Ruby's part right here. She
And she does it so good.
She does, and she takes a lead on the 60-second challenge. But actually, to tell you the truth, I think I got it in the notes as 60.2 seconds.
Yeah.
I just saw that.
That 0.2 is going to make a huge difference.
It could make or break this. But right now, we're going into, what did I do? Oh,
Jills, did I do that?
Irrezolut
Do you see? Can people see my desk yet? Did I just ruin everything? Oh, whoa! What is going on? I did not mean for that to happen.
you took over my whole screen.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Okay.
I can fix this. Wait. Don't do anything.
I'm not doing it. I'm doing stuff in the camera, but not to the camera.
Nope, not that one. There we go.
I'm going to take this time
All right.
to just shout out to people in chat. So I'm Gorilla. Thank you for tuning in. Dr. Jones, pleasure as always.
Dr. Jones.
See you on the show soon.
Yeah. Gotta talk to Jonesy. So you can kind of see while Joe moves this stuff around. This is the current status of the Telesto painting.
That is
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah. So this is like the whole. I can just pop stuff onto this desk and then see it on my screen, and I've made it like crazy for you to try to show the thing, but like this is so quick. All I have to do is like click a couple buttons.
Does that say, "Are you scared"?
It does.
That is awesome.
It might get a little wiped out because this one is the ornament Reef and Ruins, which is like it's like beat up and aged, and it looks like a destroyed version of Telesto. So it's like all the metal is like oxidized, and
I love it.
so like this
Those
is
are like
getting,
my favorite shaders, the ones that look all oxidized.
yeah, this one's gonna get all gnarlied out, and there's like some very medieval kingly like I got some from a calendar actually. They're supposed to be like angels or saints or something, but it had the right color scheme, and it was like this person's like begging, looked all like ruinous, and I'll get this one going.
See, this
Anyway.
is a perfect example right there with that painting that you had. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
How unique your art pieces are and your paintings, because it's just this whole style is just so unique to everything else. I just love it so much. It adds so much to each piece. There's so much little details everywhere in it, and it's not like a traditional piece. This is very unique to your style, and
Yeah, and it is something that came from, like, if I hadn't done this I'm trying to remember what this looks like. I'm like looking over to the side. If I hadn't done like all of the crazy kinds of like abstract expressionist art that I had done before this, like this wouldn't have been the way that this ended up blending together.
You know what the funny thing is? While you're just showing this, while we talk about it, you're working on it.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
All right. Well, let's dive into the
"Oh,
60 second
this."
Challenge. This is a challenge. So I got
Got the
some.
paper.
Okay. Chat, if you would help us out, we need a subject for the 60-second challenge. Now, every episode, if you're new to listening to the show, during the live show, we do stream it every episode, and we have the chat interact with us and give us suggestions for what the subject can be. And it can be anything at all. Well, not anything. It's got to be kind of rated PG-13, but
NSFW.
I just pointed at the wrong camera. Should have done this.
that's gonna be our going live soon, right there. I'm gonna clip that, and it's just gonna be going live soon. But if you guys would help us out in the live chat, maybe any suggestions, or we've had ninja hamsters in the past. We've had robots, zombie Bob Ross, anything at all. Help us out, chat. What suggestions do you have for a 60-second challenge? What subject?
Potato grenade.
Potato grenade. Was that one already, or is that
No,
that's fresh?
That's
Fresh potato.
that is
we were
freshy
talking about
fresh.
potatoes earlier, and now it's just.
Oh, right. You can have a potato quality
want
computer
a potato.
for Destiny. So maybe I'll use a marker. No, this marker is going to bleed a lot. There's another one. Ah, there it is. Okay.
I'm trying to think of a good one.
Any suggestions? I feel like a potato grenade is very easy because it's just going to be like it could just be
Yeah,
just a lump.
you literally just draw a potato
Dude.
with a pin.
I mean, but that's also any ideas? Anybody?
We'll give it one more. We'll give it another minute. And
Before
then-
the host decide, and then it's
Ooh,
open season.
everyone can look at this lovely view of my arms, hands, paper moving. I keep doing the like broadcaster. Do that.
At least you know they're flat.
All
See,
right.
so the other thing, and we were talking about this before, is I am terrified of getting something that I'm just gonna like not gonna be able to draw quickly or effectively, or it's gonna look so weird and wrong. Hard to be put on the spot like that. But what do y'all got for me? Try.
Groot making the letter C out of YMCA.
Groot.
How about a graffiti group? Like a graffiti art group.
Groot doing graffiti.
There you go.
All right.
Groot.
Okay. I got an idea. This might not. I haven't done any sort of like. This is exactly in my wheelhouse of doing some sort of like character. This is like the exact sort of thing that I used to draw when I would draw a lot, but I also don't draw a lot anymore. So let's see what.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Oh, that's me. Okay, I'm used to Ruby having.
I'm right.
Get my eraser ready. My eraser's ready. Go ahead.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Give him a countdown.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
3,
go.
2, 1, go. Wow, this
Look kind of.
stopwatch has for laps. Look at this.
What does even Groot look like? He's got like Rudy ass head.
Looks like a hollow tree stump head.
Dude, you're a gold mine for quotes for after the show.
I got. This is like so. What does even Groot's arms look like?
How much time's he at?
We're at 30 seconds.
So I want to get. He's holding a spray can. So
20 seconds.
fingers got to be like Rudy, right?
Yeah.
This is so taking so long.
All right, 10 seconds left.
It's just so sketchy. I feel like I'm
5,
trying to get like
4,
a
3, 2, and 1. And there's the point 2.
Bloop.
All right.
There's the point too.
It's kind of light. It's hard to see because it's like grayish. Is that better?
You actually got a lot done.
But yeah, it's very like gesture drawing. Oh man, here, you know what? I'm gonna break the rules. I'm gonna ink him a little bit.
You know
'Cause it's
what? You're not
impossible to
the
see.
you're not the first one. We've had
I was gonna
several
say,
people.
Clinton went and took the remaining of the show to flesh it out.
Yeah, and then Jake a couple days later did a full rendition of what was it? It was a ninja drifter
Ninja Drifter.
hamster.
That's awesome. Oh man, what does Groot's face look like?
It's a tree.
I am Groot. I'm gonna give him
It's a
the
tree with eyes. Yep.
eyes. I am Groot. Give him a little, like his root head. I feel like he's got a root head, man. Right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm having such a hard time. It looks like I've drawn a guy with a mustache.
Looks like you're drawing the Frylock from
Frylock. Sure, boy. You don't even know. Snoot one.
That is awesome.
It sounds exactly like him.
Oh yeah, that's like the only voice I can do. Like, let's not get too excited. Where did the thing go? Stop share. I feel like that is not. I did not do a.
You did a great job.
It's pretty good for a minute.
You
The
had-
point two will be the black marker. We'll count it.
So that's also like time. I don't do fast art.
That's fine. That's the point. It's supposed to be fun. A
Yeah.
fun little exercise, and it's something that's a little interactive that I really enjoy these. And like I said before, at the end of the year, we're gonna put all of them together. And
I'm
we're
doing
gonna
a
put
better version of it then.
I feel like the only person who does fast art is Farian and Clinton, and the
They
rest
definitely have like a.
they're just speedy.
Farian also, I think, has like he has a lot of experience, and he does purposefully picks to do smaller things too. And I don't know if he does. I've never had this conversation with him, but I would bet that it's kind of part of his process is to do smaller works so that he can finish more of them. And because those cards, like the trading card, like
Yeah.
all the people, and so like that is, I have some stuff that I will do that is like short warm up versions of stuff. Like, and in fact, I've been thinking about for this whole streaming setup, like, how do I work on some things that are just dimensionally smaller so that I can actually like finish some stuff, like start it and then finish it on stream, like on the camera, like maybe like postcard size.
Yeah, 4x4s.
Yeah, like, you know.
Yeah, Bob Ross style.
Yeah, I love the idea of like variations. So like maybe I'll even do like, if I do like 2 a week, the start I'll do the same 2 pieces like Monday and then Tuesday, and like see what it looks like on Tuesday after a
That's a
day,
good idea.
That's a good idea.
something like that.
Because then it gives people something to look forward to the next stream as well. Because you're like, oh, I saw him making this. Now I
Right,
have to
you know,
see him
and
finish.
I love the idea of like you don't have to always tune in to like someone that you're watching make stuff. You can tune in like later on down the line, like further on down the river sort of thing, and see like, oh, look where they've gotten to now. Like, you know, because I didn't decide to do streaming of art because I thought like, how do I show this to more people? How do I do this? It's like a lot of it was just trying to document it for myself, like show myself what I'm doing and like practice with it. But then it is like showing it to other people is a big part of that, and letting it be just sort of this thing that is live and exists. Because I'm not planning on, I mean, I don't know enough about actually doing it. I'm not planning on like recording and like producing anything. I'm just like, I literally stuck stickers to the desk. That was like part of the production.
Mhm.
You know, I built a backdrop. That was the production. I didn't, I don't know if I'm going to have like a bunch of animated transitions or anything like that. Like I'm sure there's people that could like help me make that out of all the people that I've met, especially recently. But I think I'm just going to like aim the cameras and paint it and see what goes. And
Yeah.
build on it day by day.
That sounds like a fun stream to me.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Should be fun. Should be.
I'd definitely be interested in watching.
Generate some, work over time. Give me some more perspective. If it doesn't work forever, it doesn't work forever. I didn't break the bank getting all of this set up, and like I was saying earlier, a lot of it is stuff that I had. Like I just had to figure out how to actually snap it all together in the right configuration. Like mount this truss, buy the right thing, and screw this thing to that thing, mount the camera. It's got a crazy clamp system. I hope it never falls. I don't think it will. It's pretty sturdy.
I want to be the first to say thank you so much for putting the effort in to share what you do with everyone. Dude. I mean, being able to watch you while you create, even though it's not for everyone, you're sharing it with everyone, and we get to experience it right there with you and interact and maybe razz you a little bit while you're doing
it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna I want that. I want the chat interaction. Like the way I've got it set up, I should be able to read it pretty clearly, easily. Like while I'm talking to people, I like that. Give it a good vibe.
Just don't take advice from Gamma, because Gamma will talk for 2 hours to the chat and go, "Oh, we should probably draw something," and then get to work on it.
Dude,
he'll do it all the time. I love that guy.
He's so amazing. All the Destiny community people that I met at Guardian Con last year, I was between Gamma and Jonesy, and it was amazing. And this year I was next to Jake Lays, and that was like being around all these really talented people and like finding out that they are like just as personable and wonderful and unique as I would have hoped like this group of people would be, is like, it's wild to see like all these people and like find all these kindred artists. They were, I don't know if I didn't go looking for them in the right places or if I found some but didn't connect with them or whatever it was before these last couple of years, but like it's been really intense to have all these people enter into my life and be these weird fixtures. Gamma is internet to me nowadays, and it's like he can do no bad internet. He'll just like, he's proving that the internet is both good and bad simultaneously every day, and I love that. Like it's so necessary. We need warriors like Gamma fighting on our side and not on our side sometimes. It's great. It's like he is, oh man, his video, we all saw the video he made, right, where he's like, that shit was so funny.
Which one? The digital art one?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, it's only when he put the blanket on. It's like that's Gamma right there.
So like y'all have done art. You've lived in an art world where sort of the idea of my kid could have done that. You've heard that before, right? Like that's sort of like, oh, Jackson
like a 4-year-old.
Yeah, like my kid could have done that. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't. Like a lot of the point is doing it, period. Like it takes a lot to get to that point. Your 4-year-old probably couldn't have actually stretched that canvas. Jackson Pollock paintings are massive, but like the concept, like the weird disconnect that like people don't seem to understand how much effort actually goes into that stuff, and like how much of it is the 15 years that Gamma spent getting to the point where he's at, right? Like, and he just did such a perfect job of making it a hilarious joke, a funny like thing to share about internet, and being so true that you just have to like, okay, yeah, like no one, that's not how it works. How could anyone think that? But there must be, so you have to debunk those people, and if you have to do it by poking them in the eye, like do it perfectly, just like Gamma did.
Right on.
Twitter kept showing it to me, so it was stuck in my brain for so long.
It's still stuck in my brain.
Should be.
I thought it was perfect, but I think the part that's stuck in my brain is when he's just all snuggled into the blanket. That's what I'm hyper focused on.
So
Like,
perfect. That's why it's so perfect. We're gonna just dissect Gamma's like funny YouTube videos.
it'll be a future episode dissecting Gamma, but he
Oof.
won't be a guest on.
Ugh.
we'll just dissect it.
Or we do a roast.
Oh God, I can only imagine doing roasts. That's the next step.
Let's,
We'll have to. That would be fun at Guardian Con.
that would
Actually,
be weird. I mean, it would work.
roasting each other's paintings.
So much personality in all of these people and all of these like in this community. Like that could work so well. Like everybody, all the Destiny, all the Guardians that I've met that do art or support other artists are just like, I don't know. There's maybe, again, I think I sort of said this before, is like maybe I just didn't connect with the right people at the right times. I've been around a lot of those communities that I felt like I maybe should have slipped into or been a part of, but never really was until now. And yeah, it's just perfect. It's just like, it's exactly the right thing, exactly what it should be. Like salt not included with these cats. There's a lot of salt in the Destiny community, but for some reason, it seems like there's a bunch of rational people that like also make cool art and celebrate the thing, and they can be salty, but they're never horrible about it. And it works out really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we let you go, we're at the end of the show now. Before we let you go, we like to ask, well, Ruby always remembers to ask, and we usually save it towards the end.
Oh.
Can you tell us how you got your name?
Oh, yeah. This is actually a pretty easy story, but like most of the ones that I can tell, it can be very long. So I used to write graffiti, and I used to do it in places where I wasn't supposed to. And my graffiti name was just Rezolut, Rezolut. So like in that graffiti way, I dropped some of the vowels, I spelled it wrong. But it was... originally the idea came to me as just like a name to start using because I felt, now I would describe it as full of myself, but like I felt fairly confident, very confident maybe, overly confident probably. And I thought the word resolute means decisive and bold. It means like you've thought of it, you're done, whatever. Like the desk that the president sits at is the Resolute desk, which is made from wood from the HMS Resolute, which is a British gunship, I think, something like that. A galleon, maybe, something huge. And then after about 5 or 6 years of using that name, writing it on other people's property when I shouldn't have, I started messing with it and like flipping it around. And I love the... I love juxtaposition. So like taking this juxtaposition of, okay, I missed a part of the story. Do y'all remember that show? It's a cartoon on Cartoon Network. It was called I Am Weasel, I Am Weasel.
Yeah, I remember that.
The idiot character was IR Baboon.
Oh my God, it's been years since I've heard somebody reference that.
Yeah, I smashed that concept together with my name, and I took a word that is the antonym of resolute, which is just irresolute, and I started using that as IR resolute, and then I just started doing irresolute. But that's also like long as hell and hard for people to say sometimes. So when I go by that name, I just go by Rez. Which has always been the short version of what I went by. So like in high school, people who called me by that name called me Rez, and college, same thing. And then video games. For a while, I played under the name Edgetho, which is spelled ECGTHEOW, which is Beowulf's father's name. So no one could say that out loud. I just told them to call me Edge, which is actually the first part of that word, which means sword. The word Edgetho